Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a really simple card using some incredible products from Clearly Besotted. So first of all, the stamp set that I'm using today is Good to Be Bad. It is an older set, but I only recently got it, so I couldn't wait to play with it. And then I'm combining it with the Brush Strokes Stencil, which is a fabulous stencil that I didn't use so far, and I really needed to change that. So let's combine them both together and create a stunning card. First of all, I decided to try out a little layout. This is going to be a clean and simple card, you know me. And I just want this witch to be on the left side of the brush stroke that we would use today. Now I stamped it out using my Gina Design Amalgam ink. This is the Obsidian ink or the black one. And I just make sure to have a really crisp image. Now, as I said, this is a new stamp, so I had to stamp it a few times to get it right because I don't prep my stamps. But otherwise, if you prep your stamps, probably one go will be enough. And then I created a mask using full stick post-it notes. So I just stamped it on there and I'm going to fussy cut this out right on the edge of the image. Now actually I don't need it all. I don't need the full mask for this card, but I just did that anyway, and I will keep that mask on the back of my stamp set for next time. So now I had to get that stencil in place. I'm going to use some purple tape to keep everything where I want it to be, and then a bit more purple tape even. So just adding it, making sure that it is secured before I start ink blending, and then we will do a lovely green, darkish green gradient sort of brush stroke. So here I have my, well, there are of course other brush strokes in the stencil, so I decided to take one of my small little papers just to mask off the one that is closest to the brush stroke that I will use today. And then I took my distress inks, being the Twisted Citron, Peeled Paint, Forest Moss and Black Soot, and I'm going to work my way through this stencil using these four greens. Now my first layer is quite soft. I also didn't use the black on the first layer. I really like to emphasize the darkness with the black, but I most of the time do that on the second layer that I'm adding. So as you can see now, I added the black and I'm working my way back to the lightest color. I'm also using exactly the same brush to blend my inks on top of my panel, and that's also why it gets darker with the second layer, because I have those darker inks already on the brush. But I don't mind that because the Twisted Citron is beautiful, but it's also really light, so I had to have a little bit of a mix. Now onto the little witch, which is amazing. I love these images in this stamp set. It's all fairy tale related, and I cannot place every image for every fairy tale that I know, and normally I would say that I know them all, but this stamp set got me doubting about that. I need to figure some of them still out, but this one is, in my opinion, from Snow White, and I just love it. I also thought that it was nice to have that pop of red on the apple and then have the green really stand out. So I filled a bit with the red. I must admit, it was a really tiny image and I wanted to have those shadows in there, but I just kept working until I was happy with it. Now for this small accessory on the hat, I decided to use greens. I often go for purples when I'm doing witches, and I love that, but with my background being greenish, I decided to keep that green as one of the details. Now for her clothing, I'm using some warm grays, keeping it quite dark, also with the black on that side of the stencil. I thought that that would work really wonderfully. And I fiddled a bit again with the combination for the dress and the cape and all those things. I wanted it to be a bit different of grays every time, but like this W5 was way too light, so I'm switching that up to a more darker W. I'm going to use the 6. Now, I said it many times before, in the description box there is a link to my blog post, so if you don't want to revisit this this color combination but you liked any of it and you didn't write it down, then check out my blog post. I'm listing there all the markers that I used, and I'm trying as much as possible to list them for each of the parts of the images, so it might be helpful for you. So here again I'm building my way up, and as you can see from the shadows, this witch is facing towards us, so I'm sort of trying to have a light source centered. So that means that on the left and on the right you will find some shadows. Just building it up, working my way from darkest to lightest. I know that there are many ways to copy colors, so do whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever gives you the end result that you like or prefer. But this is just how I color. I find it the easiest to go back and forth after adding everything from darkest to lightest. Also here I just decided to have it a bit darker. It was really light, this part of the clothing, so fixing that. And I know that this is something that I actually quite often do. I only have one image, and there are many brands that have these incredible images that can really make a card on its own, and I truly love this witch. I love all of the images from this stamp set. I just decided upon this one because I could have a pop of red, and that's something that I also really like. So that's why I decided to use this one. But you can do this with any of the other images as well. There are also larger images, which will make it even more simple or easy to really let that card stand out. Now already I'm still coloring, and I must apologize because as you probably saw in the beginning or in the thumbnail, there are some stars on this blended part, and well, for some reason I didn't record it, so today it's all of the ink blending and the coloring, and then I added stars with a white jelly roll pen later on, and some glossy accents to the apple and to the green accessory on the hat, but I didn't film that, so apologies for that. Apparently I stopped filming at a certain point, and then I decided to start again, and once I was done with it I tapped on play again because I thought that I was still filming during the little pause that I took and continued. So that was not smart, but last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, I shared another card where I drew in the stars myself. So therefore, I hope that you will check it out if you're curious. But it's just all about adding some dots and some bigger stars, and that's what I did exactly here as well. But again, I'm really sorry that it's not in the video. So here I'm working on the face, and it was really hard for me. I don't know why. It wasn't blending as I wanted it to. It was a bit too much of the Copics, I think, and so I just heat set it and started again adding my markers. This paper is Transotype perfect coloring paper, and I said it before, you can add many layers if you want to, but from time to time the paper acts like it's oversaturated, and not by bleeding, but more like it doesn't want to take on the ink anymore or the Copics anymore. So therefore just heat set it or let it sit aside and let it dry, and then come back when the paper doesn't act on it again. So just trying to fix the face, adding some more shadows because I lost a lot of the shadowing because of the oversaturated thing, and so I fix it like this, and then this image is sort of colored in. So that being done, I added sentiments. a white heat embossed it, so I'm using some Versamark to stamp it out. And then I'm using my Ranger white embossing powder, which is super fine detail, really handy for scripts like these. I love them, but they are quite thin, so if you have thick embossing powder, then you probably will lose the beauty of it. So therefore I really like my super fine detail from Ranger. So as you can see here, I didn't film it, I'm really sorry. Glossy accents on 2 parts. I have stars, and I did some black glaze pen on the eyes. So that's my card for today. I'm again really sorry that I didn't film it all, but I hope that you enjoyed what you saw here and of course the end result. If you do, you can always give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate it. I want to thank you all for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. I love you all, and I'll be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!